What is happening? And welcome to another four-wheel drive talk episode. And friends, this is going to be another review, but we're going to frame up this review a little bit different than what we've done in the past. Now, we're going to be talking about a Tailgater Tire Table here momentarily. More specifically, this review, the whole premise behind this review was to give you my take of this thing. After owning, actually I have two of these. I have the large and I have the regular. I call the regular as small. So anyways, but I pretty much use the large one almost exclusively because I just absolutely love the size of it. But rather than just kind of jibber jabbering or using this opportunity to kind of talk about my experience with this, over the course of the last year of owning this thing, I have seen a lot of questions come from you folks with regards, and I've noticed a bit of a pattern. So this review is going to be a little bit of, we're going to have a little bit of a twist to it. Rather than, as I mentioned a moment ago, just me jibber jabbering about what it's been like owning this, I'm going to address your questions with regards to some of the more common questions that I've seen with regards to the Tailgater Tire Tables. So the review is going to be kind of split up in that sense. I'm going to start off with showing how easy it is to get this thing set up, and then I'm going to read off your questions. I'm going to give you answers to the best of my ability, or based upon, I think, the experience that I've had with this table itself. But before we dive into all of this greatness that's going to be coming here in a moment, look, these videos we put together, these sort of reviews we put together to help you guys go out there and make better educated decisions. So therefore, when you get out there and you're spending your hard-earned money, let's face it, there's right decisions. There's also decisions that, well, you know what, hey, if I could do that again, I would not buy whatever that product is. Now, when I go giving reviews like this, these are my opinions. So you got to keep that in mind. Everybody's a little bit different. So if you're overlanding, or what you want to get out of camping and off-roading, if your compass aligns with mine, then hey, chances are very good you're going to have a very similar to same experience that I've had utilizing these various products that I get in front of you and kind of share my 2 cents about. And one of the reasons I do these long-term reviews as well. So there's two different types of videos that you'll see coming out of me. The first type is kind of the first impression videos. Now these are to be taken for what they are. These are first impressions. I also like to come out with a subsequent, more of a long-term review. And that's very important because any product out of the box, or most products out of the box, for the most part, it's going to be all kind of rosemary and daisies. I don't know where the hell I got that from, but anyways, you get the point. It is a surface level impression of what that product is. Getting a long-term review really gives the user an opportunity to find cracks, find areas that, hey, this thing is not what I thought it was going to be. So therefore, when we get in front of you with these sort of reviews, we are able to give you more of a 360-degree approach of what it was like of utilizing that product. And you guys know me, I beat the hell out of crap. And that's the only way, in my opinion, you can really find those fractures in a particular product or service. Now, of course, if you find some value with this video, friend, you know where I'm leading with this. I would greatly appreciate it. You crush the hell out of that like button down below, because it really helps with the whole YouTube algorithm. That said, my friends, pull up a seat in. Let's go. Okay, so as I mentioned a moment ago, the very first question that I think it's appropriate that we answer first is, how long does this thing take to set up? And seeing that I've really never time myself with this, hey, this could be a lot of fun, no pressure, right? And incidentally, I have all your questions on my phone, so in case you're wondering what I'm doing here, I'm going to be referencing this from time to time on different questions. So make sure that I basically had our editors over the course of the last couple of weeks curate some of the top level. I think we have, let's see, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're going to be addressing the top 6 questions that we see kind of being asked over and over again with regards to this table. And so I'm going to be referencing my phone. So I'm going to put my phone down right here. We have my trusty Tailgater tire table. Now this is the large one. So this is how I have this thing stored. You can get a sense of how much or how little space this takes up, which incidentally is going to be one of the topics here in a moment. We're going to be talking about storing this thing as well. So we'll take it off at that point. Now these are 37-inch tires. Now, as you may know, I recently made an upgrade from 35s to 37s. And on my Turtleback Expedition trailer, which is 9 out of 10 times where I'm using this thing, those are 33s on there as well. But I know quite a handful of people, and they have these things on, Jesus, well, almost everybody that I know has between 31s and 38-inch tires, and that's where, I mean, these things absolutely shine. But again, we'll talk about tire sizes here in a moment. But now we're going to get down. I'll put some sort of time clock thing on the screen here, and we'll do a 3, 2, 1, and I will talk my way through this at the same time, trying to be quick. And well, you know, I'm going to set it up kind of normal speed, what I normally do. No, I'm not. I'm going to see how fast I can get this sucker on here, and then through the course of some of the questions that we'll be answering here, you'll see me kind of putting it on at normal speed. So again, this is how the thing is shipped. You're going to see you have these little nubs right here. I guess I'll play show and tell a little bit here. You have these two little bolts on the inside, and this is going to control this part right here, which technically goes behind your wheel. You have these little legs here with this little pop-up, little push button here. Really simple. One of the things you want to make sure is there's this rough area here. You want to make sure that rough area is going to be facing towards the tire. So both of them have that gritty surface, and that's going to help the table stick onto the tire really well. So I'm going to put this back in here. Where's my little boom, boom, boom? Okay, so we're going to treat this as if I have stored it away. So I'm going to tighten this back up. So no cheating here. Okay. Alrighty, we're going to get the clock going in 3, 2, 1. I'm loosening these little bolts up so my slide can get out nice and easily. I'm going to pop leg out. I'm going to put it in this side. Pop the other one out. Pop it in this side. All right, I'm going to extend this out. Give myself enough space to get around the tire. And here we go. Just kind of move it around like that. Now, oops. I could have loosened up the bolts a little bit more there, which probably cost me a little time. Now I just go around to each one of these, tighten that down. Now, the center leg, you have a little push button here. Now, you do not necessarily need to use this, although I always do, because it does give some added support. And incidentally, there's your question with regards to how long does it take me to set up the Tailgater Tire Table. So this took a little bit extra time because I didn't extend the bolts as much as they did, so that slide here that goes around the tire for the stability was kind of sticking a little bit. But as you can see, this thing really goes together super fast. And the one thing I noticed that I did not bring here with me is some of my camping chairs. But as you can see here, this is perfect height for, I mean, it's perfect height for eating at. So every time when we go out, now granted, obviously the larger tires that you put on something like this, the higher off the ground that this thing is going to be, which I think is the first question, the next question that we are going to address here. So the next common question that I see is, what size tire will this thing work on? Now, the regular, which again is the smaller of the two tables here, and incidentally what I'm going to do is I will put the different sizes, and I'm just noticing there's a B on the lens of my camera, so if you guys are seeing If you guys see something going across the lens, well, that is a B. But anyway, getting back over to this here, what I'll do is I'll put the different sizes of the small or the regular on the screen, and then I'll also put the dimensions of the large one, which is the one that, again, I have both of them, but I use this one almost exclusively. So anyway, the regular will fit a size 25 inch tire all the way up to a 40 inch tire. Now, one of the things that you can do is if you want to get better bite on a certain tire and so forth, you just flip this thing where that U shape is pointing down, and that's going to grab more of that tire, get more of the meat of the tire onto this thing. Okay, large one. Okay, the large one. What size will this work on? Everything from a 30 all the way up to a 50-inch tire. Again, this is a 37-inch tire. Now, one thing I do want to point out, which I mentioned a moment ago, the smaller the tire that you're using, the lower to the ground the table is going to be. So keep that in mind. The larger the wheel, you're going to be up off the ground a little bit more than a smaller wheel, which of course it's going to bring you lower to the ground. Now, one of the next questions that we see is, what is the weight of aluminum regular versus aluminum large? Again, when you see a lot of the videos that we talk about weight in storage, your space being your number one commodity. So this is a very relevant question. Every pound inside your vehicle counts. So to answer that question, the small aluminum is right around 6 pounds or so, and the large one, this one right here, is almost about 8 pounds, or right around 8 pounds or so. So again, it doesn't take, as you saw a moment ago, it doesn't take up much physical size, and the weight of this thing is it's pretty stinking awesome, if you ask me. Now, another question that comes up quite a bit is this center leg right here. And this comes up in terms of, okay, do you absolutely need to use it? So a moment ago, now you can see when I go like this, you see there's a little motion out of there. By putting this on here, tightening it on there. So the very obvious answer is, yeah, it adds a buttload of stability to the table. Now, you could also have it going straight down. I never use it going straight down because, look, like this, it's out of the way. So if you're sitting here, okay, or if you're walking by or this or that, that leg, the leg going down can easily be kicked, knocked into, this and that. With it going into the tire like this, hell, it's out of the way. That's the preferred method that I use myself. Okay, the next question that I see come up quite a bit is, how do you store this thing? Now, they ship it to you with a real nice bag that you can put it into. It's like a really nice sleeve. I never use the sleeve because where I put this thing is on the back of my turtleback. And that's one of the things, I mean, the really great thing about this table is because it is so narrow and it's so thin, you can pretty much plant this thing any place that you want. Now, I put it on the top of my turtleback because then I can put the ladder, I keep thinking I have my trailer here with me, I can put the ladder from my tent on top of it. And so with the bag, it's a little bit more difficult for me to get things in there because it gets caught on and so forth. And from my experience, whatever they coat this with, which I think it's like a heavy-duty powder coat or some sort of anodized, I'm not sure what sort of coating that they have on here. The reason why I bring that up is this thing is near bulletproof. I put this thing on top of my trailer, so it's shimming around. It has ladder, there's shovels up there. I have tent stakes up there. I have my awning walls up there. So there's a lot of stuff sitting on top of this. And this thing looks, considering this is a year old, this thing looks absolutely incredible. There's no major, I mean, I have a couple little scratches on here, but that's about it. This thing looks fantastic. Now, alternatively, if you don't have a trailer to go stuffing this up on the top, because of, you saw how narrow this is, you can bungee this to the back of your spare tire. You can, on a rooftop like this, hell, I'd be willing to bet. It's funny, because as I was coming over here to shoot this, I'm like, geez, there's anchor points on the top of that thing. I could probably run a wing nut with a thick washer underneath here and peg that thing to the roof of this thing. Talk about out of way, out of sight. Jeez, that is absolutely, again, when you talk about a table like this versus some of the other noise out there, some of the other options out there, this thing really has a lot of a lot of potential in terms of how you can get this thing, get these things stored compared to other tables out there, although I think I just said that. So now one of the things I do want to point out, in which will lead into from a price standpoint, some of the larger fold-out, the inexpensive tables. What I was using prior to this, and the reason why I absolutely love this thing so much, I had one of those, you may recall, a big fold-out. It was 4 foot. It was 4 foot when it was folded up. So when you extended it, it was a full 8 foot, and it was like I want to say it was like 35 inches wide or something like that. I got it at Home Depot. I forgot what the hell I paid for it, but I think it was like 50, 60 bucks or something like that. But when it was folded up, it was like this big, and so the thing was a beast. And on top of that, the thing constantly, because a lot of the areas that I go to, you know, there's winds. I don't know how many times I'd come out, and even if I had like a grill or something on top of it, it'd be blown over and so forth. But from a storage standpoint, that thing was a pig to go kind of tucking away. So anyway, storage place, you have endless options of what you can do with this thing. All right, so now the next question that I'm going to bring up, this came up from one of my earlier videos because I didn't put links to where you could pick this thing up in there. So where you can purchase it, now the smaller one I picked up off of Amazon. The larger one they don't have on Amazon. I'm an Amazon person. I love purchasing on Amazon. So I reached out to them and asked if they had the large ones on Amazon. And as I understand, they're going to be adding the large ones on Amazon by the end of the year. But I actually picked up my large one directly through their website, which was very painless. It was very easy, and the shipping was fast as well. So small ones on Amazon, large ones, you go directly to the site, and I'll put links in the description below as well. Okay, now here's the elephant in the room here. Okay, why not buy a table with 4 legs for less money? 4 legs, less money. So I had to think about this one, so I'm going to be even referencing to some of my answers here. I think, let me take a step back. Oh, why is it every time I come out here, a crow always has to start making all this noise? So hopefully you guys aren't hearing it. I'm hearing it because he's directly in front of me. Hopefully with this mic here, no, because the mic, okay, if you hear the crow, I'm going to apologize, but it's not my fault. So going back over to this, I want to address one of the questions who I believe this table is most useful for and who it is not. Now, if you're heading out and you need a single table to bring with you, you don't want to bring any more tables with you, and you have a party of 4 or more people, this might not be the first choice that I would go with, simply because so if you're 3 people or less, this thing's awesome. 1, 2, 3. Doesn't get better than that. Do you need more space for eating? Absolutely not. Do you need more space for prep? Everybody's gonna be a little bit different, but no, this is absolutely fantastic. So again, if you're heading out with a large group of people and you only want to bring only one table with you, this is not gonna cut it. That said, I do believe this table is a must-have for everybody, even if you're heading out with a larger group. And let me expound on this. So there are, like when I head out, if you watch a handful of my videos, you'll find there's quite a bit of continuity with what I'm going to share with you right now. The first thing that I set up out of my whole rig is this table. Then I set up my battery brick, my portable battery. Then I'm going to set up Starlink, and all of that gets mounted right here. My coffee pot is right here. Now, mind you, again, this is usually always on my turtle bag. So a table like this, there's big benefits to having a table like this here. One of the huge benefits here is, again, we're talking a moment ago, I was talking about wind. Being out, wind is not going to touch this. Wind is not going to do anything to this. So whatever you put on this, even if you have gusts of wind coming through in the middle of the night and so forth, unlike some of the other tables I've used in the past, they'll flip over, they'll be thrown all over the place. This thing is going to stay planted, which is a big bonus. There are certain items that you want to have out of the way. And so if this, with this being mounted onto the tire like this, if somebody accidentally walks in the table, it's going to bump it a little bit, but it's not going to cause drinks to go spilling over or whatever on there potentially to get knocked over. So there's a bit of stability with this that you can't find in other tables. And on top of that, so a lot of the places I've gone to, you're on uneven ground. With a table like this, you can actually adjust this and make the table is going to be level regardless, versus if the ground could be all downwards and upwards and all that other fun stuff, this will remain straight. And of course, as you're packing up camp, you'll notice one of the last things that always gets packed away is this thing as well. So I find it very convenient to have this sort of table right next to the vehicle itself. Now, again, going back to piggybacking on top of cheaper tables. So I'm going to address the word cheaper in a moment. Yeah, there are a buttload. Jump on Amazon. There's a buttload of cheaper tables available out there. But this is a good example of you get what you pay for. Now, over the years, I've tested a lot of different tables. And frankly, nothing comes close to this. And let me take a deeper dive into that. Again, if you're under 3 people or less, in my opinion, when I look at the tables that I used to drag out with me, the unnecessary space and the added weight, granted, the weight might be only 10 pounds more. Every pound matters these days. Every inch of space in my rig matters. So again, these are my opinions. You may agree with me, you may not. But if your compass is aligned and you're in a vehicle or a setup where you value every single inch of free space that you have, you may agree, you may align with the reasoning with this here. On top of that, weight, yeah, I'm gonna look for every ounce that I can shave out of my rig, especially these days with gas prices where they are. I wanna lighten my rig up as much as possible without compromising the gear that I bring out with me. In something like this is perfect. I don't need a table bigger than this. So that's my reasoning, and that is my answers to your questions over the course of the last year. Now, that said, owning this table or these tables, but as I said, I'm pretty much using almost always just the large one. And it's funny, as I was packing up here, like trying to think what the hell I did with the small one, because I was going to play show and tell with the size of it, and I'm not even sure where the hell I put it. But anyways, this table I absolutely love, because many of you have seen when I go heading out, I have my 7.5-year-old son with me. This becomes the perfect dining room table. We're close by, we can have an intimate, the father-son dinner meal without being scattered all around. The table just does what it's supposed to. So yeah, they charge $200 or something like that for this here, but for the savings of weight, the space in how I can mount this thing and do all this other cool stuff with it and so forth, I think it is a value in. And here's something else. That white table that I was sharing with you about that I picked up from Home Depot. Again, I want to say I paid $50 or $60 for this thing. Now, because sliding that in and out of my trailer, that thing was marked up. It started off white, but regardless how much I cleaned it, it turned kind of, because you get these scratches in it, and the scratches absorb a lot of dirt, and you never get it especially if you head out quite a bit. It looked kind of tannish, even after you wash it, after you clean it and so forth. So this thing holds up really, really well. So it's been an absolute joy having this thing. I heavily recommend. Again, to each their own for how I head out, what I look for in my overlanding rig and my experiences out there. This table, again, I prefer the large over the small. I keep wanting to stress that because there is a significant difference in size, and I think this is just perfect. So if the table was the size of the small one, I'd say that's a 2-person. This thing, you can fit 3 people on there. So it's perfect. So friends, there you go. This has been my 12-month review of this table. I think I mentioned earlier, one of the reasons that I extended it out a full year with this is, again, beating the hell out of this, trying to find something I don't like. And you guys know my feelings. I think a review without a negative, red flags all over the place. But frankly speaking, you know what? Actually, nah, it's not really negative. It is a little bit I always wondered if they could come up with these nuts on the outside here. It's not a deal breaker, but that would be a very distant negative. But I mean, rather than reaching under here, having it out here, which actually, you can move these out here. So let me take that back. So the thing, actually, I totally forgot about that. Now the only downside when you move, and it's gonna take me a minute, and I'll probably put on the screen here, oops, 1 minute. So, train. Okay, we're gonna wait a minute for this train to go by.
Few moments later.
So this, you can actually move it to the outside, which does make putting this thing on much easier because you don't have to lean underneath and screw that in. Now the only downside to this is when you're storing this away, this, when it's inside here, it doesn't get caught on anything because it's tucked away inside of this here. So the only downside when you have it out here, it's potentially something that you can knock into. And if you throw things around like I do, which I drop kick the shit out of this thing going in and out of my trailer. This is a plastic, while it's a heavy duty plastic nut or composite nut on here, if you nail that into steel, I'd be willing to bet it's probably going to break or chip. And so, but it's a hell of a lot more convenient having this on the outside versus the inside. So again, friends, this has been my 12-month review of the Tailgater Tire Table. Big thumbs up, absolutely love it. Hope this review has been helpful for you. If you have any questions whatsoever, leave them down in the comment section below. And if I have an answer, I will give it to you. If I don't have an answer, well, you know what? You know how it works. I will do what I can to find the answer for you. That said, all right, well, if you found some value with this video, friends, do me a favor, hit that like button down below, crush the hell out of it. If you aren't currently subscribed to the channel, what are you waiting for? We'd love to have you part of the family. And last but not least, so therefore you don't miss a single video like the one that you just watched, be certain to hit that bell down below so YouTube does its whole notification thing when I come out with new videos. But really appreciate you guys tuning in, appreciate your support, and look forward to seeing you guys on the next video. So you get out there, stay healthy, and find your adventure.